Hello, it is your girl M with Just Ask M. Welcome to episode 44, Back to Basics. It feels like it's 6 months into the year, but here it is, only February. But one of the best things you can have is time. I think time is one of the most valuable things, and when you maximize it, when you use it intentionally and with purpose, that's, one of the best things you can do with it. But anyway, starting the year out strong, crazy roller coaster of life already, but what would life be if that wasn't the case? Kind of just remembering to, take a step back and just let life catch up. Take a minute to breathe, see how far you've gotten, where you currently are, where you're headed, and kind of just appreciating that at one point, what we've already accomplished, or probably where we are, we used to hope so much for it, or probably never thought we were going to get there. And that's one of the things I'm learning the most, probably in this era of my life, is taking a minute, when I feel like I'm starting to trip over my feet, stepping back, letting life catch up, letting the emotions catch up, because life can be a lot sometimes. Everybody has something going on. Sometimes things are super great. Sometimes things are very stressful. Sometimes things are not that great. And I think the key to everything in life is really the balance. So I feel like if you can master the art of balance in everything and anything, you've kind of got a grip on life. Whether it's balancing the emotions, balancing your mental health, listening to your body when it's telling you just time to sit, time to just be, time to relax. Self-care has become such an important thing. It becomes more important as you do get older. We only have one life. We only have one body. What are we doing with it? How are we maintaining it? How are we taking care of it? These things are very important. And I think one of the biggest disciplines to have, and also the most difficult, is maintaining the basics, even through the ups and downs of life, the roller coasters of life, of emotions, what we do have, what we don't have, who we do have, and who we may not have in certain chapters or eras of life. And me personally, I think at times, when certain things didn't go as planned or as you expected, it was like the end of the world. But as you kind of work on those things, like, mental health, emotional health, being aware, taking care of yourself before trying to save others, I think there's so much value in it, in the sense of it just builds this clarity, builds this focus. It builds being able to understand when something might not be going as planned or as well as you'd hope. What is the lesson in this? What am I meant to, learn from this? What is the purpose and meaning in this? And what does it look like if I get through this, if I master the understanding and emotions of this, if I stay mentally healthy, like, what does the light at the end of the tunnel look like? What does this look like? If I can conquer this, how does this strengthen me? How does this build my resilience, my perseverance, a better attitude towards the good, the bad, the ugly, the happy, and sad, So I think a lot of the time it's very easy to get distracted in life, lose your footing, lose your perspective of what's truly important. What are the things that actually matter most? And I think between society, social media, material things, the facades of, yeah, no, everything's so great, has kind of deterred us from really understanding the valuable things like quality time, time management, self-care, being loving, being kind, treating others with a respect that we want to be treated with, being mindful, having certain mannerisms that we should lead by example with to help others who might not necessarily be aware or have forgotten, just because it's easy to get caught up on the emotions of life. People are going through silent battles we have no clue of. People are going through grief. People are going, through loved ones, going through sickness, breakups. There's just so many layers to life. There's so many different stresses these days. There's so many emotional battles that it's easy to just want to crumble under, but I think the important things of maintaining that sanity, maintaining that positive mindset and perspective is, what are we doing for our mental health? What are we doing for our emotional health? Are we taking breaks when they're needed? Are we just taking a day that, hey, I'm not okay today. I'm going to sit in the bed. I'm going to binge watch a show. I'm going to just sit in silence. Like whatever it looks like for you, these are a real thing. It's essential that we are listening to what our bodies, because our bodies will tell us. The intuition is there of, I probably should skip going out this weekend, or I probably should stay in the house, or I've been in the house too much. Now I'm getting inside of my head. Maybe I need a nice girls' night out. Maybe I need a nice dinner. Maybe I need to just be around family. Like whatever it looks like for you, most of the time, the resource to help you, the resource to, improve how you're feeling usually is there. It's just a matter of slowing down and asking ourselves, what is it that I need? Sometimes it's easy to deflect as well and check in on other people because it's easy for you. It's how you care. It's part of, your bloodline or just having a good heart. And there's nothing wrong with that. But then even consciousness and balance of that, of while you're checking in on everybody else, are you okay? Check in with yourself is a very real thing, Sometimes I say I think I'm too strong for my own good sometimes, where it's just like, it's great to keep pushing forward. It's, great to keep going and, working harder, this and that. But it's also easy to get lost in that too. Like, okay, am I ignoring something? Oh, okay, now something got really stressful and it's pushed me to my point. Now I'm lashing out. Now I'm breaking down, or I'm, getting so stressed where, ooh, okay, maybe I'm not as okay as I thought. So there's a lot of complex factors to life, but I think they can become simple, and we can gain clarity if we listen, if we are slowing down, if we are taking that moment to be like, okay, I've done XYZ. What can I do, or what do I not need to do right now? One of the things I feel like I've been struggling with lately is kind of like this anxiousness. I don't do well with change, even though I adapt well, but like I'm a creature of habit. I like having my flow, my process. I'm very particular. It's easy to get OCD and, perfectionist, which is why I like my podcast platform, because this is my happy place. This is where I can just talk. Even though I'm speaking to my audience, I'm also speaking to myself, and it helps me bring clarity of, why have I been feeling like this? I feel like I've been trying to be controlling of certain things, or like anxious, or, it's just like certain new things are evolving in my life, and it's like, it's scary because it's like, there's so much unknown, but it's just, I don't want to be so fearful that I'm preventing the growth and shedding from happening. Because in every chapter, in every era of life, not everything or everybody is meant to go with you. Everything is not meant to come with you. And I think as humans, it's easy to just like, well, but I want this person, I want this to still be part. And it's, what's going to happen is going to happen. Whatever is destined for us is destined for us. Walking in your purpose can also be very scary, because a lot of the time you don't know what the next step looks like. I believe in God. I heavily rely on my discernment, intuition, and what my spirit tells me sometimes. And it's definitely a guide. It's definitely a compass in life, whatever you believe in, however that looks for you when navigating life. You know, it's scary because you know, when you're required to be faithful and obedient and, you know, not walk by faith, or not walk by sight, but walk by faith, you know, it can be very scary. And then you have the flesh kind of battling, well, it needs to be this way. If it's not this way, it means it's not going the way it needs to. So it's very easy to go down this rabbit hole of getting inside your head, overthinking, and all that can easily become talking yourself out of stuff, creating doubt. Oh my God, well, maybe I can't do this. Well, maybe this is more than I bargained for. But what if you took a step back? What if you took a moment to let your thoughts catch up, slow your mind down, focus a little more, and then it led to clarity of, okay, although this is a new and big vision, what can I do to put it into perspective, create a plan, and then tackle one thing at a time? And this is kind of just part of that anxiety. Part of these new things evolving in my life is me personally rebranding in my event planning business as well as design and organization. I'm very grateful to have all these areas of expertise, and I don't want to give up one for the other. So my thought process has been, when I rebrand, how can I make this not only work for me, but also still be effective in, you know, being a branch to all these areas of expertise that I know people need help in, you know, so areas that people need help in, like whether it's coordinating, event planning, hosting an event so you're actually enjoying your event while it's happening and you're not focused on the details or what has to be, you know, cleaned up or swapped out or refilled. When it comes to design and organization, you know, that can be anything from daily office practices, that can be things in your life that you may want to get a better grip on, daily functionality, you know, developing a routine, you know, getting more acquainted if you are an entrepreneur or if you're looking to get into business ownership. You know, these are things I want to turn into classes and workshops with my, you know, consulting and concierge rebranded company. You know, and the basics I think that people underestimate the power of are things like communication, body language, you know, mannerisms and etiquette, your demeanor. You know, it's already nerve-wracking kind of getting outside of your comfort zone when you are showing up somewhere alone. You know, you might be going on a first date and it's with somebody you didn't shop for or make sure was perfect before you went, you know, went with them. And all these factors pretty much resort to the authenticity you have within yourself. How comfortable are you within your own skin? What's your level of security or insecurity? You know, are you living your life vicariously through others? And not that there's anything wrong with, you know, inspiration and learning from others, but not letting it become, you know, a thing of, well, that's who I gotta be to be successful, you know. Are you using this inspiration to turn it into your own? Are you, you know, creating your own style so you can have your own personality on it versus a facade that you create on social media or a facade of somebody you're trying to be, you know, whether it's a famous person or somebody close to you or somebody that you admire. Once again, not a bad thing to use that for inspiration, but not to a point where you're following it because it works for them and you're losing yourself in the process, you know. So just really being grounded within yourself, you know, being your true and authentic self, no matter who you're around, no matter what environment you're around, so that it kind of just helps you reach your full potential. Like, what is your full potential? What does the best version of yourself look like? And then when you reach the best version of yourself, what does it look like to now evolve and elevate and continue elevating and being an example and inspiration for others around you who might need direction of, hey, this is where I'm at in life, but I don't know where to go. It's okay to not know everything. It's okay to feel lost in life at times, but how are you handling things? Are you addressing those things in a healthy way? Just being mindful of your well-being. Who am I? What do I want to do? Am I being intentional? Am I being intentional in my personal life? Am I being intentional in my business life? Am I being mindful of time management? And am I creating a schedule or time that's only convenient for others, or am I incorporating myself in that time management as well? Am I focusing on, my self-care? When I need to take a break, am I being disciplined enough to step back, and do so, reset, recalibrate, and then, okay, get back to whatever it is you want to accomplish. And I think the whole point of getting back to the basics is understanding each one of those different topics of what the basics looks like. Like I said, taking that step back to be aware and address, reset and recalibrate when needed, unapologetically, regardless of if people don't understand it or accept it in that moment. That has to be okay, because you can't sacrifice yourself and your peace of mind for what others need, and then it's not getting poured back into you. And maybe it is getting poured back into you, and then those are the people you pay attention to of when they need to be poured into. Are you being mindful of that? Are you being aware of that? Just the balance and understanding of, is it complaining or is it venting? And once you get it off your chest, are you getting back up and moving forward with a refreshed perspective and mindset? Or are you dwelling? Are you letting things consume you so much to a point where now it's decreasing your momentum to kind of stay dedicated, keep pushing forward, taking a day or taking a step back if you have to not be okay or rest, but then getting back to it without waiting too long after. And I think slowing yourself down, slowing the mind down, disconnecting when you need to, those are definitely beneficial factors that remind you of, okay, am I maintaining my foundation? Am I maintaining the basics that are consistently going to be there when things go wrong, when people can't be available to me, when people I'd like to show up don't show up, because people do have problems of their own. People have lives of their own. People have obligations like work, family, and taking care of their loved ones. It can be a variety of things. Are we being mindful of those things? Are we only reaching out to people when we need something, or because it's convenient, or, well, that person is always in good spirits, they'll be able to help me get out of my slump? Now you're only reaching out to that person because they can benefit you to get you out of your slump, but now you've just taken a piece from them without pouring it back into, or maybe saying, hey, how are you doing? I know we just vented and complained about me and you gave me advice, but are you okay? Because a lot of the time, most of the people with smiles on their faces or great attitudes, usually those are the people who are going through the most. I have met some people in my time, and you get to talking to them and you hear their stories and what they've been through, and you just look at them in amazement of like, and you still have this amazing strength and positive attitude towards life. So that's the importance of just always being kind, that mindful and awareness. But also another thing is checking in on somebody is not checking in on them through their social medias or their stories or through a DM to see if the DM was seen and, okay, they're alive, I checked in on them. We have to balance that. Checking in on somebody is picking up the phone and calling them, sending them a text, anything along the lines of, hey, checking in on you, hope all is well, don't need anything, just saying whatever the case is, and you will be so surprised the light that that could bring somebody in a difficult moment, making a day just a little lighter. Not everybody is sharing their trials and tribulations on social media. Not everybody wears their emotions, on their sleeve. So a lot of the time people have trained themselves to understand what it is to keep, business and personal separate. When you walk into work, you're focused on your job, but it doesn't mean everything's okay at home or in their personal life. But I say all that to say, social media is a good and bad thing because it's such an easy distraction. But what it distracts us from is being reminded of how to do this. Talk. Have conversation, because in conversation you can actually get clarity on the jumbo thoughts that might be in your head. And when you speak, when you have conversation with the right person in the right environment can actually help you slow your thoughts down and kind of organize them and create an understanding of, okay, that makes sense. I've untangled some of my thoughts, some of my crazy emotions and feelings, because they're there. We are human and it's normal to feel those things. So what are we doing to face them head on, get them situated, work through them, think through them, talk through them, so we can gain clarity and not let them come out the wrong way at the wrong time because the emotions, the stress, the anxiety have overcome us. And how are we addressing them and dealing with them in a healthy way? I think it's just so easy to, if you want to talk through something with a significant other, it's very easy to have it come out at the wrong time during an argument when you feel bold or when you feel defensive, or, you want to be vulnerable, but you might struggle with pride and you don't know how to say it. These are all very real things. These are things I've experienced in my personal life and really have had to address and work on, because you can't be a hurt person hurting people. It doesn't work, and people don't have to tolerate or deal with it. Sometimes people can love you so much and then not be able to love you anymore if you don't understand these things within yourself. And if it continues to be a consistent problem, you have to look at yourself and reflect, okay, where could I be doing better? Where can I be addressing things better? Where can I work on a better deliverance of, I know what I want to say, but what's the best way to say it so it doesn't come off as offensive or rude or hurtful? But once again, all those things stem from you, who you are, self-reflection, am I okay? I myself have kind of been in a yucky kind of phase lately, and sometimes you just feel off and you can't identify why. In those moments, I've learned to disconnect, be alone a little bit, and kind of just figure out, okay, why are you feeling like this? What has happened over the past week? What have you maybe got so consumed in work with that you might be ignoring something that's there, but your conscious is trying to make you aware of it, because it's like, hey, you need to address this, because if you keep harboring this, it's going to come out at the wrong time and it might hurt somebody, or it might, just be so stressful where now I'm not dealing with it the best I can on my own, so just a lot of things to be aware of. But the basics are a real thing. They do create the foundation of how grounded you are as a person. Life's roller coasters, trials and tribulations and stresses are not going to stop. They're just not. You can have everything and feel like you have nothing at the same time. What are you doing when you feel that emotion? How are you handling it? How are you dealing with it? And how are you projecting these things around you, like people around you? Are you projecting it in your workplace? Is it pouring into other areas in life that it shouldn't be? Listening, talking about it, communicating with whoever it might need to be communicated with, taking the necessary steps and doing the necessary things you need to maybe deal with some things. You know, are you being too stagnant and procrastinating? Are you moving too quick and tripping over your feet that now you're losing focus and clarity? These questions, I feel like, would literally be the therapy session that you're probably paying to go to. This is me working at a therapy office, and therapy is very essential and necessary. Absolutely. But there's also a consciousness of not using therapy as a crutch, because a stranger or a therapist can only tell you so much and help you through your issues before, no matter what it is, you as a person still have to wake up one day and decide, do I actually want to change this? I've complained about this for a while now. How do I actually make this be better so I'm not feeling the same way? There's got to be a point that you get tired of dealing with the same thing, complaining about it. But if you're not making the necessary changes, you cannot expect a different outcome. So sometimes it's good to actually get silent and hear your inner thoughts by yourself and to yourself, not to a point of getting in your head, but enough to make conscious decisions for yourself and say, okay, I've accessed the resources and talked to the people and done certain things that can help me out of this situation. What am I going to do to now step up, get up, and move forward to literally be the change and difference that I want to see? How am I going to lead by example to maybe be inspiration for others to do better and be better? Because at the same time, you might have a different level of maturity, a different level of wisdom, a different level of experience that maybe some people actually don't know or are conscious of. And Cal always says it so beautifully, and it is a very difficult thing, and God is still working with me in it. Having grace and understanding with people. It sounds so simple, but it can be very challenging. So it's definitely easier said than done, but it is not impossible. And I think the grace and understanding is realizing I have to put myself aside. And if this person is genuinely needing or asking help, how am I giving it to them in a comfortably vulnerable way, sending it with a loving message, not making them feel regretful of asking me for help? Because at one point, we all needed help. Unless you were born a genius, just knowing everything and knowing how life was going to pan out for you, we've all started somewhere. We've all been lost. We've all been uncertain. We've all had our doubts. We've all been down in the dumps, and something or someone has come along to push us forward, get us out of it, or tell us something that helped us believe, I can do this, I can overcome this. So I do think that's where that grace and understanding comes in, where it's just like, somebody had patience with us at one point. We have to have patience with others. So this was Back to Basics, and I genuinely hope that this resonated with you, and I hope you continue to subscribe and tune in.